Okay, picture this. You're scrolling through your feed, right? And an ad pops up. It's not just relevant. It feels, I don't know, uncannily specific. It knows exactly what you were just looking at, maybe even something you were just, thinking about.
Yeah, that feeling.
Now, imagine that whole ad campaign.
Yeah.
The words, the image, the video, who sees it, when they see it. It wasn't made by, like, a team of humans, designers, copywriters, media buyers. None of them. It was built and run, start to finish, by artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And Meta, Facebook, Instagram. They're reportedly aiming for almost full AI automation of ad campaigns by the end of next year, 2026.
It's incredibly fast.
So what does it actually mean when the system's creating the messages we see all day, the messages designed to persuade us?
Right.
What happens when they're not primarily human-driven anymore?
Well, welcome to this deep dive. We've really gone through a stack of sources here. Research papers, articles from places like Forbes, reports from Meta itself, industry analysis trying to unpack this huge shift. We're looking at how digital ads have evolved so quickly, how AI is just accelerating everything, Meta's really ambitious plans for full automation, the tech behind it.
And the big questions, right?
And maybe most importantly, the opportunities and the serious challenges this brings up for businesses, for culture, and, for you, the person actually seeing these ads.
So our mission today is to get beyond the hype. We want to understand the what and the how of AI in advertising based on the sources we looked at. Explore the upsides, but also really dig into the risks and the critical questions.
Yeah, to help you think more critically about this AI-driven ad world that's, it's already here and it's speeding up.
Okay, so let's ground this. First principles thinking, like some sources suggest. At its absolute core, what's advertising even for?
Fundamentally, it's about connection, right? A business trying to reach the right audience to get them to do something.
Buy something, click a link, sign up.
Exactly. Persuasion and connection.
And for ages, that connection was all human, wasn't it? Human creativity, human strategy, humans figuring out other humans. It was manual work.
Totally. And the sources trace how that changed. Static banners first, then more interactive stuff. And then programmatic advertising came along.
Which was a big leap.
Huge. Programmatic basically automated the buying and placing of ads. Real-time auctions, super fast delivery.
Right, it automated the delivery part.
Exactly. But what the sources show is happening now with advanced AI. It's aiming to automate the whole thing.
The entire life cycle.
From, generating the creative idea in the first place, all the way through to tweaking the ad on the fly based on how it's doing.
Wow. Okay, that's not just automating a task. That's automating the whole process. So what can AI actually do here that's making platforms like Meta so ambitious? What are the big opportunities?
Well, AI's power comes from a few key things. It can process just incredible amounts of data, way more than humans can. It has massive computational power, and it uses sophisticated algorithms to automate and, crucially, personalize things at a scale and speed we just haven't seen before.
Personalization, that's the one everyone talks about, I think.
Absolutely, and it's a massive driver here. AI can analyze your digital footprint, your browsing, your purchases, what it infers about your interests, your location.
Scary amounts of data.
It is. And it uses that to dynamically generate or pick ad content that's hyper-targeted to you. Google, Meta, they already do this for millions of people at once.
Right.
And the sources point out that advanced techniques like deep learning are really good at spotting complex patterns in all that data and adapting the message in real time. It learns what works for you specifically.
Okay, so personalization at a scale we can barely imagine. What about for the businesses running the ads?
Efficiency is the other big one. AI automation just slashes the time and resources needed. Setting up campaigns, targeting, optimizing, it takes a lot of work. One source mentioned an Adobe survey, 68% of marketers said AI tools save them significant time.
68%.
Yeah. And it's not just about saving money. It frees up the human marketers to focus on, the bigger picture, strategy, solving harder problems than just tweaking bids.
Right. Moving the human role up the value chain, kind of. Does AI help predict things too?
It does, yeah. Predictive analytics. AI can look at historical data, current trends, and try to anticipate what consumers might do next or how the market might shift.
Like crystal ball stuff?
Sort of, but based on data patterns. The sources mention specific techniques like time series analysis using things called RNNs and LSTMs types of neural networks. They're good at seeing patterns over time.
Okay.
So they might predict, say, when demand for a product will spike, or maybe when a specific user seems ready to buy something. It lets advertisers be more proactive.
Predicting clicks and buys. Wild. What about the actual ad itself, the picture, the text? Can AI make those?
That's another huge piece. AI-driven content creation. Yes. AI models can automate making personalized ad assets, images, text, variations of videos, even audio.
Seriously, it can write the ad copy, make the picture.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
Sources talk about integrating tools like DLAE or Midjourney for visuals. Technically, they mention things like generative adversarial networks for making realistic images, and natural language generation, often using transformer models like the ones behind ChatGPT for writing the text.
Wow.
And these systems can just churn out tons of variations way faster than any human team could.
So the AI isn't just deciding who sees the ad, it's actually making the ad they see. Is this translating into, like, real money market growth?
Oh, absolutely. The AI market within advertising is growing fast, projected to hit something like $35 billion by 2027.
$35 billion.
And programmatic advertising, which relies heavily on AI already for all that real-time bidding and targeting, that makes up something like 88% of digital display ad spending in the U.S. The momentum is undeniable.
$35 billion.
Yeah.
88% of spending.
Yeah, that's a massive scale. And Meta, you mentioned, they're pushing this even further with that really aggressive timeline.
They really are. The reported goal is near full AI automation of their whole ad process by the end of 2026.
End of next year. That just sounds incredibly ambitious for something so complex.
It is. The vision, as the sources describe it, is basically an advertiser gives minimal input, maybe a product picture, a few details, a budget. That's it.
And the AI does the rest.
The AI is intended to handle everything else, generating all the creative options, images, video clips, text variations, figuring out the best audience, allocating the budget, and constantly optimizing it all in real time across Facebook, Instagram, everywhere.
Wow.
There was a quote from Mark Zuckerberg basically saying advertisers would just need to define goals, budget, and, connect their bank account.
Just connect your bank account, let the machine run wild. It really shows how much they want to simplify it for the advertiser, hide the complexity. What are they building this on? They can't be starting from scratch, surely. No, definitely not. Meta already uses AI extensively in its current tools, especially that Advantage Plus suite.
Right, I've seen that name.
That suite uses AI for things like automatically creating different ad variations, changing image backgrounds, adjusting video formats, and optimizing campaigns specifically for sales or app installs or getting leads.
Yet it works.
Apparently, yes. These sources noted Advantage Plus shopping campaigns grew like 70% year over year recently, and their Advantage Plus leads campaigns apparently delivered leads at a 10% lower cost compared to the old way. They also use AI for stuff like opportunity scores to guide advertisers. So, yeah, they have a strong foundation.
Okay, so they've got the infrastructure, the tools are already learning.
Mm-hmm.
That gives them a running start towards that 2026 goal. But, this level of automation, handing over so much control, it just feels like it raises some massive questions, some serious challenges we need to really think about.
Absolutely. One source called AI and advertising a double-edged sword, and you really feel that tension reading through the material.
Okay, let's start with the obvious one, maybe. Privacy. Whenever AI and data get together.
It's always the big one, isn't it? And yeah, the very effectiveness of this AI personalization often hinges on crunching huge amounts of personal data. Where you are, what sites you visit, what you buy, who you talk to online.
Everything.
Pretty much. And that bumps right up against privacy concerns, especially with regulations like GDPR in Europe or CCPA in California, giving people more control over their data.
Right.
A source mentioned Google getting into trouble for using location data without really clear consent. So the need for clear consent, easy ways to opt out. It's critical. One idea proposed was user-friendly dashboards so you can actually see how your data is being used for ads and manage it.
And Meta specifically has been hit by privacy changes, right? Like that Apple tracking update?
They have, yeah. That limited their access to some of the detailed user data advertisers used to rely on for very specific targeting, like custom audiences or lookalikes.
So how are they dealing with that?
Well, Meta's had to adapt. They've brought in their own privacy changes, limiting some data sharing, improving user controls, and they're developing AI tools that lean more on aggregated, anonymized data patterns rather than tracking every single individual action. But that's a challenge for advertisers who are used to that super granular targeting.
So the privacy landscape itself is forcing changes, pushing away from just tracking everything. What about fairness? Can AI be unfair?
That's the bias issue. It's a huge concern. If the data used to train the AI reflects existing biases in society, and let's face it, most large data sets do, then the AI can learn and actually amplify those biases.
Oh, so?
It could lead to discriminatory ad targeting, like maybe unfairly excluding certain groups from seeing job ads or housing opportunities, or disproportionately targeting other groups with predatory loan ads, for example. It hits marginalized communities hardest.
And the AI isn't doing it on purpose.
Yeah. Not intentionally, no. It's just learning patterns from biased data that reflects historical or systemic inequalities. Dealing with this means constantly auditing the AI for bias and building tools to mitigate it. Sources mention things like IBM's AI Fairness 360 as examples of tools trying to tackle this.
So the bias comes from us, from the world,
Yeah.
and the AI learns it. That's crucial. What about just knowing what's going on? Why am I seeing this ad? Was it even made by a human?
Yeah, that's the transparency and accountability problem. When ads get super automated and personalized, it gets murky for you, the user. Why this ad right now? Was it AI generated? How was my data used? This lack of clarity breeds mistrust.
Right.
And as one source put it, just saying the computer decided isn't really good enough when these systems are influencing people at such a massive scale. Who's responsible?
And that leads right into the manipulation worry, doesn't it?
It really does. These ads are designed to be persuasive. When AI gets good at tailoring messages based on your likely psychological state, your cognitive biases, there's a real risk it could push people into making impulsive choices, buying things they don't need, maybe eroding their sense of autonomy.
Wow.
The sources used Amazon's recommendation engine as an example. Super effective at boosting sales, no question, but it definitely raises ethical questions about subtly exploiting consumer psychology.
Like the AI knows your weak spots and uses them for profit.
Oh.
Okay, shifting gears slightly. What about the creative work itself? If an AI writes the slogan or makes the image, who owns that?
That's a messy legal question right now. Intellectual property law is still catching up. Is it the AI developer, the platform like Meta, the advertiser who gave the prompt? We need clearer legal frameworks for AI-generated creative work.
Definitely. And beyond who owns it, what about the quality of it, the creativity? Can AI really be as creative as a person?
This is where a lot of sources express serious doubts and concerns. There's a real risk that relying too much on algorithms leads to, well, sameness, homogenization.
Everything starts looking the same.
Kind of. If everyone's using similar AI tools trained on similar data, aiming for similar efficiency metrics, the ads might just converge on predictable, safe patterns. They might lack that spark, that real emotional connection, the cultural nuance, the unexpected twist that makes great advertising memorable.
Yeah, efficient, maybe, but bland.
Potentially. One source mentioned a Coca-Cola AI campaign. It apparently boosted engagement, metrics-wise, but it also stirred debate about whether the creative felt a bit generic, lacking that unique human touch or cultural resonance.
Interesting. So efficient, but maybe soulless.
That's the fear. Another source took it even further, arguing that advertising has historically been this canvas for human creativity, reflecting culture, sometimes even shaping it. Automating that risks erasing unique voices, leading to a kind of creative monoculture.
A creative monoculture.
Yeah, where everything feels the same because it's all remixed from the same giant pool of data by similar algorithms. They called these AIs morph engines, not creators. They assemble variations based on data. They don't originate ideas with intent. It's a simulation of creativity, not the real thing.
Morph engines. That's a powerful image, just rearranging existing bits. And the sources mentioned something about the loss of friction. What's that about?
That was a really interesting point. The big push is for frictionless advertising, make it super easy, super automated for the advertiser. Click a button, campaign runs.
Right.
But the argument is that removing all the friction, the challenges, the constraints, even the struggle, that might actually kill off the very things that spark real originality and clever solutions. Friction, one source quoted someone saying, is the forge where creativity happens.
So making it too easy might make it less good, less meaningful.
Exactly. Ease isn't the only goal, maybe not even the most important one for truly creative or impactful work. This drive for ease everywhere, not just ads, can lead to everything feeling a bit the same. A crisis of sameness. There's this seductive idea that easier is always better, but maybe ease isn't the right measure for value or meaning.
And this whole automation trend must be hitting the advertising industry itself pretty hard, right? Like the ad agencies.
Oh, absolutely. This push towards full automation, especially by platforms like Meta that own the audience and the tools, it fundamentally challenges the traditional ad agency model.
How so?
Think about it. If the platform controls the channel, the data, the distribution, and builds the AI interface that generates the creative and runs the campaign, why does an advertiser need an intermediary agency to manage all that?
They can just go direct to the platform's AI.
Exactly. One source pointed out that agencies thrived when the landscape was fragmented. But when one platform controls the whole stack, the agency can start to look like unnecessary friction in this super smooth, automated system.
So agencies could get squeezed out, or at least have to radically change what they do. Okay, so we have all these huge challenges. Privacy, bias, manipulation risks, IP questions, the potential hit to creativity and culture, the industry upheaval. Where does the human fit in all this? The marketer, the creative, the strategist. Are they obsolete?
The sources are really clear on this. Human oversight is absolutely critical. Even with full automation as the goal, humans are still essential.
So what?
For setting the overall strategy, defining the ethical lines the AI has to operate within, checking the quality and integrity of what the AI produces and who it targets, interpreting the complex results the AI spits out, and ultimately being accountable.
Right, the computer said so isn't good enough.
Exactly. Humans need to stay in the driver's seat for strategy and ethics. It probably means needing teams with diverse skills, data scientists working alongside ethicists, creative strategists to manage these systems responsibly.
So the human role changes. It doesn't just disappear. It becomes more about steering the ship, conducting the AI orchestra, maybe.
That's a good way to put it. Guiding and refining the AI, making the high-level decisions. So, given all this, these huge shifts, what should businesses, marketers be doing now to adapt? What do the sources suggest?
Well, the big picture is that these changes are pushing companies towards strategies that are maybe more ethical, focused on building real, long-term relationships with customers, moving away from just relying on sneakily gathered behavioral data from platforms.
Okay, but how? If that third-party data is getting harder to access.
The number one thing mentioned across sources is focus on first-party data.
Data you collect yourself.
Exactly. Businesses need to prioritize getting data directly from customers through their own channels. Email signups, phone numbers from contests, purchase history on their own website, interactions in their own app.
Things like lead magnets, quizzes, customer accounts.
All of that. When you own the data, you have more control and you're less vulnerable when platform targeting rules change.
Makes sense. What else?
With targeting potentially becoming broader because of privacy limits, the creative itself becomes way more important. Ah, right. If you can't target as precisely, the ad itself has to do more heavy lifting.
Precisely. Your ad creative needs to be strong enough, compelling enough to grab attention and connect with a wider range of people on its own merit. It puts the focus back on great concepts, great execution.
So good ideas matter more again.
They do. Tips included things like really testing different creatives, A/B testing, using engaging stuff like short-form video reels, TikTok style focusing on real storytelling, maybe using user-generated content because it feels authentic. Basically, when the targeting gets fuzzier, standout creative becomes your edge.
Okay. Build your own data, make better ads. Anything else practical?
Yeah. Brace for potentially higher ad costs. More competition for broader audiences could push prices up, so manage budgets wisely. Maybe focus more on retargeting people already in your funnel using that first-party data. Make sure your website actually converts visitors well, and diversify your channels. Don't put all your eggs in the meta basket. Look at SEO, email, search ads.
Right. And improve your own tracking like the server-side tagging.
Exactly, to get better data on what's actually working. And finally, educate your team about all these privacy changes and really lean into being transparent with your customers about how you use data. Build trust.
It sounds like a return to some marketing fundamentals, really. Just updated for this AI and data privacy era.
I think that's a fair way to see it.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. We're seeing AI absolutely transforming advertising at lightning speed. Massive potential for efficiency, scale, hyper-personalization, and big players like Meta are sprinting towards near full automation, possibly by the end of 2026.
Right. But running right alongside that potential are these really significant, complex challenges. We talked about data privacy, algorithmic bias, transparency issues, manipulation risks, IP confusion, and these deeper worries about what happens to human creativity, cultural diversity, and just the meaning in advertising itself.
And the sources seem to agree that while AI can make effective ads, optimized ads based on data, it doesn't really have, creative flair or real emotional understanding, or the kind of intention a human author brings.
Yeah, it's described more as a powerful tool for assembly and optimization, rather than a replacement for human artistry or strategic insight based on lived experience.
Which leads to that quote you mentioned earlier.
Right. The future isn't human or AI, it's human with AI if we build it that way. The key is making AI augment human skills, not just replace them wholesale, but that takes conscious effort, prioritizing human values.
Okay, prediction time. What's the bold prediction from the sources?
One source put it like this. Within the next 5 years, over 75% of digital ad campaign execution, from initial bidding to creative A/B testing and final reporting, will be fully automated by AI for major platforms.
75%. Fully automated execution. Wow.
And they see the human marketer becoming that AI conductor we talked about, setting strategy, ethics, interpreting the results.
And knowing Meta's aiming for full automation even sooner. End of 2026. It just highlights the incredible pace. This isn't sci-fi, it's happening right now.
It really is reshaping things as we speak.
So let's leave you with this to chew on next time you're scrolling and you see one of those eerily specific ads, maybe made by AI. If the systems creating these persuasive messages are increasingly automated, optimizing purely for clicks and conversions, who's really doing the persuading? And how much real choice or agency do you, the consumer, have when messages are tailored so precisely, maybe even designed to exploit your biases without you knowing? If ad creativity becomes mostly about efficiency and disposability, what happens to its meaning? And what's the responsibility of the humans left in the loop, the advertiser, the platform, and maybe even you in navigating this automated future?